Hello, got an exciting video for you today. Well, I'm excited about it, obviously, but then it's my video, so anyway. A couple of bits of news, first of all, and then I've got the Q&A with DICE's senior lighting artist, Tom Wright, to read out to you. You may have seen Tom featuring on Dan Sheridan's BF Weekly stream last night, alongside David Serland, but I'll come back to that shortly. First things first, the cinematic tools received a significant update the other day and now include a couple of features that I've been pestering Hattie Watty for quite a while. He is sick of me, completely sick of me. The texture tool has had a search option added, which really speeds up the process of finding and replacing textures in-game, obviously. The Light Manager has also had some features added, and this is what I've been really excited to see. A move to camera utility has been added, which again is another massive time saver. I'll just show you quickly what that means. In the past, having created a new light, if you wanted to move it to another position, you either had to create another light or adjust the position values of that light manually. Now though, you can simply position the camera in your new desired location and click Move to Camera. Awesome. The feature I'm delighted to see is a preset facility for light setups. Again, huge time saver. Recently I produced a few alternative BF4 map environments that contain quite a large number of lights to really make everything look as good as possible in-game. But it's just been a one-off. As soon as you close the game, you lose all that light information. But no more. Just as you can with the environmental settings, you can now save all your light setups as a text file and load them in at will. Finally, we have the Bone tool, which you've probably seen in a few recent images by Burdu and Rec Platoon. There's quite obviously a great deal of potential with this tool, although I've not really explored it yet because it requires 3D animation programs and such, and it's incredibly time consuming to set up. Some CTE news: the UI.drawEnable console command has been reintroduced, so it's now easy to get rid of the red CTE branding and other UI elements for filming purposes. The most recent patches to CTE have also seen Rush and Squad Obliteration game modes introduced to the Infiltration of Shanghai night map. Squad Oblit is a particular favourite of mine, and I'm very much looking forward to getting stuck into that. Later today, 19th of February that is, sometime after LA wakes up, we can also expect a bit of an announcement on future BF4 content. David Serland was teasing this information in-game yesterday, so that's something else to look forward to. Okay, now for the Q&A. I've been in contact with Tom Wright for a few months now, ever since the night events caught the attention of DICE LA. He's always been very curious about the cinematic tools and the modified environments we played on for those events, and has even taken a couple of ideas away for inclusion in the official projects, which I have to say is pretty fantastic. The low-lying fog over the water on CTE Night Shanghai map, for example, is an idea I put into Lankang Dam remake, which I shared with him. It's only a minor feature, but that was kind of a big deal for me personally. In fact, it was mentioned on stream last night that the idea to produce Shanghai as the first test map in CTE was influenced to some degree by the Night X playtests. Here's a short clip from that stream, a link to which I will include in the description.
Did you guys see any of the gameplay that some of the YouTuber guys did? Westy and Jack Frags, and they did their own versions of night maps as well, which looked pretty cool.
Yeah, they did that using the cinematic tools, right? So they tested a lot of maps, which gave us a lot of good feedback. We knew which maps to go for, to look at, to try.
Yeah, it was a good idea because they had already played it a few times, so it's good to make those choices. And Shanghai was actually not my first choice because it's a super hard map to light. It's very complicated, but people that were testing it out in that arena really loved it. So we decided to push that map through for night.
Yeah, and from my point of view, I wanted Siege of Shanghai because it was the hardest one. So if we can solve the hardest one, we can solve the other ones.
Right.
It has a lot of really specific daytime things like reflections and all that kind of stuff.
And the water as well, I guess, plays probably a big part in that as well. That's awesome.
A couple of weeks ago, Tom agreed very graciously to answer a number of questions for me that I could share with members of the community that are interested in such things. Some of the answers are really very insightful, so here we go. How did you get into the lighting artist profession initially? Tom answers, initially I was a character and vehicle animator for a kids show. Because I'm a general 3D artist, they put me on modelling assets because they were short there and I would light my objects really nicely for presentation purposes. The director liked it so much that he had me relight some sets, and next thing I knew, I lit an entire season of the show. I put a reel together from that show and started getting jobs as a lighting artist. Come to find out I was a better lighter than I was an animator, so I ended up getting much better jobs. Has Frostbite 3 been your favourite engine to work with so far? Hands down, yes. Frostbite is the most amazing lighting engine I have ever used, and I've used quite a few. This engine is spreading like wildfire throughout EA, and there is a good reason. It's amazing. Which BF4 maps, if not all, were you responsible for lighting? I came on after they finished their first set of DLC for BF4. I ended up working on many maps, including ones on Hardline, but I am solely responsible for Sunken Dragon, Pearl Market, Giants of Corellia, and Hangar 21. In the process as a whole, how many other aspects does a lighting artist deal with directly, such as textures, object placement, etc.? The responsibilities of a lighting artist is hard to explain because we really create the overall look. I think about what I want the player to feel like when looking at the environment or an interior. Is it ominous, serene, or maybe intense? This determines what colour palette I choose or how hard or soft things will look. I'm responsible for creating the skies, fog, lights, ambient colours, shadows, radiosity, etc. I of course place physical light objects, but I don't move objects because there is usually a gameplay reason for them being where they are. I do play with shaders because they directly compete with or complement lighting. I've also modelled and textured a handful of objects, all physical lights. Roughly how long does it take to get a typical map set up and lit appropriately? Tom answers, I think appropriately is the key here. DICE requires a hardcore level of polish to its maps. CTE is the exception where we can get things up enough to be playable, but to be officially released, we have to do a lot of work. It takes me around 4 months to fully light a level with a medium complexity. We go through many passes with many people looking at every detail to try and make it better. What is your favourite BF4 map, aesthetically speaking? I honestly can't answer this with a single map. There are so many great ones. Shanghai, Caspian Border, Operation Whiteout are some of my faves to look at. Is there any particular reason that until now the team has shied away from developing properly dark nighttime environments in multiplayer? Tom says, I think it's mainly because people want to play Battlefield competitively and it's too easy to cheat in a night or dark scenario. Even if we limit the game's exposure, you can just turn up the brightness or gamma of your monitor to gain visibility. Night maps have to be played on the Honor system until there is a proper way to limit player visibility. What is the most challenging aspect in the process of converting an existing daytime map to a nighttime map? The biggest challenge is the balance of darkness with playability. If the map goes too dark, it can become unplayable without adjusting our settings. My goal is to have the perfect balance of dark and visibility so that navigation and player recognition is hampered but not impossible. How many of the existing maps do you think have the potential and realistic chance of being converted into nighttime environments? It all depends on how much time I'm given. You have to remember that a lot of this is being done on the side for me and a few others. Shanghai was very challenging and there are great maps that will be a fraction of the work. We might not get blackout type Levolution events on another map, but I think we can squeeze in another, maybe more depending on the popularity and how much time I'm allotted. Has night map development taken you away from any other projects? Tom says, oh man, it has. I'm supposed to be working on something right now. In fact, my saving grace is that the night map has been so popular on CTE that it's given me some breathing room to work on it. If it had bombed, I think someone would have told me to get back to my real job. Finally, I asked, what projects lie beyond night maps for you? Tom says, I have a fantasy about making a Battlefield game in a particular time period. I don't want to say much more, but I'm building a pitch and working on a small level to see if this could fly as a game one day. DICE has been very open to new ideas. It's such a refreshing studio and it really opens the doors for creativity. Well, there we go, that's it. That last answer though. World War I maybe? Something they haven't done before? Who knows? That was quite a long video, wasn't it? I hope some of you made it all the way through. And if you did, I thank you. Also, huge thanks to Tom for taking the time out to answer those questions for me. I hope the format was okay for you guys. It seemed a little odd asking the question and then answering it myself, but it was the best way I could think of without resorting to bad accents and silly voices. For now though, goodbye!